Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look at Bitcoin, see kind of what's going on, if there's anything that's shaped up from yesterday, any patterns forming, or obviously just what's going on overall with the Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, of course. Because when we looked at it yesterday, we were touching on the 50-day SIP moving average that was getting tested. And as we can see here, it's essentially holding as a support. So that's a great sign. Now, if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, just love teaching people how to trade. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. If you want to become a better trader, reference my website, CryptoCache.tech. Link in the description below if you want to consider checking out my trading academy. I send out signals for every trade that I take so you can learn how to structure your trades effectively. Because a lot of times, being a successful trader is mostly just taking profits at the right time or setting up the right take profit targets, and it's really important to be able to understand what that looks like. So again, been trading for over 15 years. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. So with the simple moving average, just to kind of finish with that conversation, it's traditionally working as a support level in the past, as far as when it breaks above, right? So it broke above here pretty hard, pretty fast, came back down to test, and now it's holding strong. So very good sign. Once again, if you continue to test the support level, it's going to continue to eventually break, right? So if we progress downwards a little bit further from here, we could see the price pushing down too with it, okay? So just bear in mind, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're just going to jump right around, turn right around from here, but it is a very good sign. Just bear in mind also, this is a weekend. Not a lot of volume, and in turn, more volatility. We haven't seen any volatility yet, but generally speaking, I'm venturing to guess we're going to see something here today, just based on the way that things are going, shaping up into that that meeting tomorrow with the Fed meeting, right? So a lot of little stuff could happen today. Just be mindful of that, all right? Doesn't mean we're in the clear just yet. Just want to kind of throw that out there. Moving on to the RSI, we're still staying up over 50, which is great, right? So good news is we haven't digressed enough to break that potential support level. So it does still imply that we are tentatively bullish on this run. Okay, so that's a very, very good sign there in that sense. It's kind of just telling us the overall sentiment is still considered not necessarily overbought, but more so just neutral positive, if you will, versus neutral negative, if that makes any sense. We also have a potential bearish divergence here, of course, so we're a long ways off from that, but as this continues to lower, so with the potential of this divergence coming through and effectively, showing us that we are shifting that momentum. We're still bullish in that sense because once again, we haven't broken this low higher high and higher low pattern. This is a very standard, very normal sell-off. Okay, so if 42,000 is the bottom, we get more volume accumulation at this price point. We're going to be in pretty good shape. Okay, again, we just need more volume here essentially to work as a support level to push the price action higher. We'll know here soon what happens. Obviously, it's kind of hard to anticipate right now, just based on the fact that weekends are weird. Like you really, it's truly hard to identify trends and patterns on the weekends. Personally, I usually try to avoid trading on the weekends for the most part, just based on, again, we don't have that natural push to the upside or to the downside. It usually results in neutral, right? So like we had this strong neutral weekend here, and we're gonna have another look appearing to be a very neutral weekend here as well. So just bear in mind that is definitely something that's relevant in the market. And a highlight too, again, this is last Saturday, Sunday, and this is tentatively Saturday and Sunday here for now, right? So again, not a lot going on. We're going to see here soon what happens. I'll be excited to find that out. All right, so another thing to kind of note, and this isn't a great thing, but it's not terrible, on the midterm, right? Because once again, the 4-hour chart translates into the 1-day chart. On the 4-hour chart, we can see we're under that 50-day SIP moving average that I mentioned before. Obviously, we couldn't break back above it. It has tried. So that does work as a potential support level. So that could essentially continue to keep the price action where it's at for a few more days. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It could also, of course, the price could continue to come up here and struggle. It could also come up here and break right through. You never truly know. It's not a guarantee, but the likelihood of it breaking through is less until we test it a few more times. Okay, and if it's kind of reflected too here on the RSI. I like to talk about this because I think it's relevant. When you see 50 on the RSI broken to the downside, that means we are now in bearish territory, right? And again, this is just the midterm, or I refer to it as midterm, the 4-hour time frame, right? So that's like the go-between. So what happens on the 1 hour goes to the 4. What happens on the 4 goes to the 12 or the 24, essentially. So we already looked at the 1-day chart. We can see that we're holding, right? We're still above RSI, above 50 on the RSI. MACD hasn't diverged yet. We're still looking okay. So the macro is actually looking very fine. But the midterm here is telling us we have this shift in momentum right now. We're now considered bearish. So in that sense, in the more immediate future, so to speak, we can see that the price is having trouble breaking back above that support level. And if it continues to have problems breaking this plane here, then we're going to see that translate into the 1 day, and we'll eventually start making lower highs and lower lows. That would be a problematic, so to speak, in that sense. But again, it's not foolproof at all, but this definitely tells us that we have that shift in momentum, or just that bearish type of divergence on the 4 hour. Also note too here as well, we have a potential convergence in the MACD too. So this is a kind of conflicting information, so to speak, but honestly, a lot of times when you see the convergence in the MACD on the 4 hour, that usually shifts momentum to the upside. So that could very well be the momentum we need to break through the 50-day SMA as well as 50 on the RSI. Okay. So I don't hate what I see in the 4 hour chart. I think it's actually kind of mostly neutral, but if we get that nice convergence, so to speak, we could effectively see that, or it will just fizzle out and die if we just continue to go sideways for a few more days. That does happen too, of course, because a convergence doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to break through. It's just more likely to, right? The odds are in your favor a little bit more. So, but as you can see here, in the last on the 1 hour time frame, you can see the price is pushing up, pushing down. It's getting rejected right here at about 42,800, which was a previous support level. Okay. So if we kind of look at this here, we can see this plane right there was a difficult place to pass to the downside, right? The price kept coming down. Every time it come down, it could not pass that plane. So 42.8 held as a strong support level for quite some time, up until Friday. All right, we lost that on Friday, and now it's considered to be a resistance. So for the moment, in the immediate short term, 42,800 is considered to be a resistance. And as far as support level is concerned, we could pretty much summarize that 41,800 is also a support. It's basically just this $1,000 channel it's working within. Because again, it comes down to 41.8 and gets continuously rejected and bumps right back up. Okay. So this is tentative, of course. Again, this is mostly just a weekend, right? Ever since the market closed on Friday, right around this time here, we've seen the price just kind of travel within this little $1,000 range between 41.8 and 42.8. Okay. Now taking a look here, I'm sure if we look at the cloud, of course, we're underneath still. So we're still underneath the cloud, so there's no real sign of bullish potential turnaround, so to speak. But keep in mind, the longer we stay down here, the more likely it is to average out and to effectively just be back above anyways, right? So that being said, if the price were to continue to go sideways for another day or two, we could just see that natural progression to the upside, where the cloud might naturally just give us that indication of a long signal. And if so, we'll go ahead and consider looking at that. The only thing is, of course, in the next 24 hours, which is roughly when this could happen, is obviously that that Fed meeting too. So it's an emergency Fed meeting. I'm not trying to concern you or worry you, but traditionally speaking, that's never great on a micro standpoint. Macro, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I don't think we're just going to go ahead and shoot straight down because of it. But I do think we're going to see some tumultuous behavior from Bitcoin, and we're going to see a lot of sharp increases and or decreases. So I do recommend in the next 24 hours to, I wouldn't say, close your position, but if you have a position that could essentially get closed, or like, just say you have a 10x or a 20x in play, be very careful going into that trading time frame. It's kind of almost a gamble if the price is going to go up or down. In most cases, it's going to go down, right? That's kind of the traditional way in which it works. And what it'll do is probably go down to the next immediate support level and continue to try to test that. And then obviously bounce back. In most cases, it did that recently as well with that recent Fed meeting. So just to quickly touch on that here as well, based on recent Fibonacci retracement, we can kind of summarize here in the sense that the most relevant and immediate support level outside of 42,000 is 41,000 even. Okay. You could even say 41,500 is also a support level based on previous data and how much we have in volume at that specific price point, right? So we take a look at the volume here, minus of course the current right here. This is the last weekend's volume at right around 41,500. There's the most amount of volume outside the most recent time frame. Okay. So, just bear in mind, this could potentially work as a support channel. So the likelihood of the price kind of dropping down here is, I would say, fairly high. And if so, if it were to come down to 41,000, we could expect and should expect 41,000 to hold. Just once again, keep this in mind. There's not a lot of volume in this range here. So 38,000 would effectively be the next immediate target. I've covered that previously, but just kind of reiterate the fact that, there's a lot of volume down here between, 37 and 39. So if we do lose this support channel here, right around 41,000 to 42,000 as a rough estimate, then you can't expect a lot of support in the range of 39 to 41. Okay, so just know this is a pretty big show. If the price goes past 41, we could very well see it start to correct itself down to 38. Again, just a potential thing that could happen. Is it going to happen? No, we don't know. Honestly, it's all speculation at this point. And the main reason why is just based on the simple fact that, traditionally speaking, when you go into a something like that on on a Monday of all things, just coming in right from the weekend, I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be positive by any means. An emergency Fed meeting doesn't seem like it's a great thing. I doubt they're going to give us an emergency meeting and tell us that inflation's not going to go up. So just kind of be realistic here in the sense that we've got a bearish type of divergence presently from Bitcoin, and we're going into some bad news tomorrow. So take from that what you will, but just know that we lose 41,000, which is the next immediate support level outside of 41,800, this little channel we're in right now, then we will see somewhere in the range of probably 38 to 39. That's probably a strong likelihood. Okay, and at that point, obviously, we'll reevaluate, but for now, that's kind of what I'm anticipating. I'll go ahead and review this again here daily, of course, but for now, I would just say be cautious and careful going into the trading day tomorrow. Just make sure that you've got everything in order and you're paying attention if you have an open trade that isn't a swing trade and or, long-term hold, right? Just keep that in mind. I hope you find benefit here today, of course. Thanks again for listening, and hope you have a good rest of your day. If you're not currently a community member, CryptoCache.tech, consider joining. Looking forward to working with you. You have yourself a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.